Today's rule of retirement is understanding the difference in your working phase of life and what needs you have in retirement. So when we look at this, these are the two periods of your financial life, but also your investment life that you really have to make sure that you are planning toward and doing things that are advantageous in those positions. So when you start out working, unless you inherited a trust fund, you start out with zero money, and if you have student debt, you actually start out with negatives. So you're in a position where you don't have money, but you want money. And so that really requires three things from you if you want to be in a position where you accumulate. Number one is if you're in a position where you have income coming in, you need to be able to save a portion of that to start the process of building that wealth. And then once you're in a position where you start saving, the focus that most people have as they start out is they want that pot to get as big as possible, so they're really focused on getting the growth off of that money. And what that requires in most cases is taking an above average level of risk. Now, it's not a perfect correlation between the most risk you can take and the most return, but when we take more risk and we put things in stock market, we're able to get a long-term advantage because we have time and we have income coming in. But once we cross this threshold into retirement, we should not be in a position where we no longer have money. We should be able to be in a position where we have money, and now that changes what we need to do with our investments. If you don't have money and you are in a position where you're looking to retire, you're going to make that process a lot harder than it has to be. But if you do have money today, there are three things that we really need to position toward. Number one is looking at income. When you stop showing up for work, it's amazing, your income checks stop coming into your bank account. So you've got to be able to provide that income from other sources or your investments, which is why we need to keep this as a focus. Now, the second biggest concern, or the biggest thing we need to plan for, is protecting this money. Because when you have money, the biggest fear is running out or no longer having money in your future. And then the third area that we look at is growth. Growth is still important because we have to factor in for the money that we take out, but also factor in for inflation over time. As things cost more money, we're going to be in a position where we need to have more growth to provide additional revenue or additional cash flow for us in the future. So looking at this, the differences between our working life and retirement are very clear, but what ends up happening is a lot of people don't make this transition with their investments as easy as they do when they just put in their 2 weeks and they stop showing up for work. So we want to have a conversation about what does that transition look like for you and your family, and how do we get in a position where we appropriately provide for these three areas, and we do it in a way that matches the goals and the hopeful success that you want in retirement.